Let's get perspective on what's going on with North Korea and more from Gabriel Debenedetti, national correspondent at New York Magazine. Gabe, good morning.
Good morning.
Where do we think the situation with North Korea really is at this point?
Well, it depends on who you're listening to. If you listen to the president, you actually aren't really sure. He certainly says, well, actually, this meeting might happen.
Yeah.
It might not happen. But, all indications are there's still some back channeling going on between the two nations. There's still some willingness to get something done of some sort. Do we expect to see a meeting at any point in the next few weeks? Not necessarily clear right now.
Do we know what happened? Was it a breakdown in communications? Was it strategy? What was it?
Well, no, we don't is the short answer. There seems to be a lot going on in the White House with different advisors talking to the president about whether they like or don't like the way that North Korea is talking about different Americans involved in all this. Of course, Kim Jong Un had some harsh words for Vice President Mike Pence. The president, Donald Trump, did not like that, so he called everything off. But then again, you also have people, including the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, all saying different things to the president here. There clearly seems to be some sort of disconnect. We're just not sure exactly where it is.
The other news making big news this week, of course, was the ongoing Russia investigation and the briefing that top lawmakers got about classified intelligence from the Justice Department. Where are we left at the end of this week after those briefings and the fight over them, in essence?
Well, a whole lot of confusion, which, of course, has been the theme here over the last few weeks with this investigation. Those briefings in particular got pretty testy because a lot of Democrats thought it was quite inappropriate that the White House was trying to insert or not insert one of the president's lawyers to the meetings, and there seems to be some disagreement over what kind of involvement that lawyer actually had. Where this leaves us, though, is continued partisan bickering on Capitol Hill over the president's attempts to really monitor what's going on in these meetings or what's going on in this investigation. And when you have the president out there talking about whether or not there was a spy implanted in his campaign, something that Democrats say is just totally not true, there seems to be a lot of confusion in the public, which perhaps is what the White House wants.
The New York Times had a report also now that Michael Cohen, the president's attorney, had a meeting with a Russian oligarch just days before the inauguration. What does that mean for the Mueller investigation?
Well, it means the investigation continues to be much broader than most of us realize.
Continues to get broader.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps much broader than even the White House realizes. There seems to be so many more meetings than we knew about, so many more characters, both on the American and the Russian side. But an important thing to remember here is because Michael Cohen is involved in this part of it, it also shows us that a number of these different scandals or controversies that the White House is wrapped up in are actually more closely involved than we might realize. Of course, Michael Cohen is known right now for being central to the Stormy Daniels saga, which many people think of as totally separate from the Russian saga. But now we hear that he's actually meeting with Russians right before or right during the transition. There seems to be a lot going on here.
A number of states held primaries on Tuesday ahead of November's midterms. Were there any surprises in those?
There were no huge surprises, but there were some small upsets. And I think one of the main takeaways here, particularly on the Democratic side, is that you're seeing enormous energy behind women candidates. Over and over again, women candidates keep winning in these primaries, including in some where they're not expected to win.
You had a surprise in Lexington, Kentucky.
That's exactly one of the ones that I'm referring to, where you had Amy McGrath, the fighter pilot, beat the mayor of Lexington, Jim Gray, who was the favorite there. And what basically she harnessed was this enormous amount of grassroots energy behind a number of women candidates all over the country, and that's why you see more and more Democratic women running and winning.
That works right now in the primaries. Can they carry that forward to the midterm election?
This is the huge question, and especially in a case like the one in Kentucky, where Amy McGrath, who won this race, was not actually the favored candidate of the National Party. There's a bit of worry over whether she can win a general election in a conservative area like that. This is the big question, and right now we're not sure, but Democrats are certainly confident.
Feels like we were talking about the midterm elections as soon as the election actually happened.
Ready for 2020?
Yeah. Exactly. Gabe Debenedetti. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you.